What's up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood hermit. I can't talk today. It is your friendly neighborhood turtle hermit, JackieChun. I'm back. I got another fourth generation standard battle for you guys today. This is against FearThePika, who I found on Smogon. And if you don't know who he is, I don't think he has a YouTube channel, but he has played against many YouTubers, including Negator, who's also known as Johnny Frost 87 on YouTube. He's also played against Roscoe Leet, who is, I believe, is good friends with BKC, Blazing Kickin' Chicken. And we're just waiting to come on here. I think Wi-Fi was being kind of terrible, but yeah, he's even played against the likes of BioLizard 1, who many of you should know, but he's a great player. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started. He's leading off with Gengar, and I am leading off with Hippo, of course. And I am pretty sure this is the Icy Wind lead Gengar. So I'm going to switch to Spiritomb. The worst thing Gengar can do is Shadow Ball. And although I've had odd scenarios, well, not really odd, but where I've played against other lead Gengars in the past that weren't, I don't think, were Icy Wind leads at all. They had stuff like Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, things of that nature. So I'm going to switch to Tomb, and he does go for the taunt, which I totally forgot about, but it makes sense considering it's early in the match, and he doesn't want to overpredict. So taunt to try to get Hippo. And he's going to switch out here. He's going to go to Registeel, and I'm going to go for the 2-hit KO with Dark Pulse. And wow, Registeel, that's a pretty awesome lead combination. It's very similar to Gengar and Metagross that whom Falodran talks about, if you haven't seen his latest vids on the Pokemosh Pit. But yeah, Registeel's got good synergy with Gengar too, since it's pretty much the same typing. They both have the steel typing. So I'm gonna go to Fortress here because I am looking at Registeel and I'm like, okay, this is setup fodder. So now's a good a time as any to set up entry hazards. And I knew it wasn't Seismic Toss if it did have it, and I was pretty sure it was gonna set up the rocks actually at this point, because why not, right? It's early in the match and might as well get Stealth Rock up. So I'm gonna switch out, go to Fortress, and he actually goes for Toxic. So, and he misses, so it actually worked out even better for me. I did consider Toxic in the back of my mind, and that's the reason why I didn't go back to Hippowdon, because I thought he might try to predict that. And he just did it, I guess, based on what he had seen so far, which makes sense. So Fori's in here, and that name is just so misleading. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get my first layer of spikes up. He's gonna switch out, go into Infernape. I was really fearing this Infernape, and honestly, I don't think it was as much of a threat as I thought it was. But this Infernape really messed with my mind. I just kept it in the back of my head all game pretty much, and it just really screwed with my head. Especially since he's showing it this early in the match. He's basically forcing me to scout the set, because you never know what kind of set it's going to be. Is it going to be Swords Dance? Is it going to be Nasty Plot? Is he going to try to go for an early sweep, or is it just something like a Mix Ape, which would be equally as bad? Or is it just Choice? Is it Choice Scarf or Choice Banded? So I think for a long time here about what I want to do, but I make a kind of risky play. Well, it's not really that risky, but I'm going to end up actually going to Heatran, because I figured he hasn't seen it yet, so I don't think he's going to go for a close combat. I think he's just going to go for the obvious move, just to see what my switch into his Infernape is. So he does go for the Fire Blast, and I do get the boost, and I was literally raging because it doesn't tell me anything. Lots of Infernapes carry Fire Blast, and because I got the Flash Fire boost, if he had a Life Orb, he's not going to take any recoil damage. So it kind of sucks. I still don't know what kind of Infernape it is, but I am about to find out. So I believe here at this point he is actually going to switch out and go to Starmie after much debating. And yes, I did knock my camera over a little bit. I do apologize about that, guys. Most likely fearing the Earth Power, just in case I had it. And I'm actually gonna double switch, kind of sort of double switch, and I go to Slowbro. This was actually a bad play because I thought Infernape might still be a mix-ape and go for the close combat and just stay in. But at least now I know that his Infernape is Choice Scarfed. But I'm in a bad spot and I'm forced to predict. So the switch is pretty obvious at this point because I see the leftovers, but I'm still not sure if this Starmie is a rapid spin, more defensive Starmie, or an offensive Starmie without Life Orb. But I'm gonna switch to Spiritomb. And I figured worst case scenario is I could take a Thunderbolt and maybe even two if it's the rapid spin set. And he actually goes for the spin, so now I'm back in a decent spot. He's gonna go to Registeel here, and I predicted the Infernape switch in, so I go ahead and set up one Calm Mind. And the only reason I did it was just to boost my special defense. I wasn't even trying to go for a sweep, but I guess Registeel, going back to Registeel does make sense, because he still hasn't gotten Stealth Rock yet at this point, so, you know. He's actually going to go for Toxic again, and at this point I get it in my head that, maybe I can set up a Calm Mind sweep. Registeel's really not a threat to me offensively, and he doesn't know that I'm Crotomb, which is the Rest Talk Calm Mind, and the only attack I have is Dark Pulse. So I got it in my head that maybe I could set up an early Calm Mind sweep, and for a while here it looks great, but I won't spoil anything. You guys will see, and I'll mention it again later on during the match. But just real quick, guys, this is going to be a two-part match because I didn't want to record something that was going to end up being 40 minutes long. The match in real time actually took about 2 hours to do. It was probably the longest match that I've done, and these things just keep getting longer and longer as I go on every game. So anywho, I'm just going to set up another Calm Mind at this point. I did show that I was a Crotomb set by just resting off the Toxic. So he's actually going to switch after setting rocks up, and he's going to go to Shaman. And Shaman is a problem, especially if I don't play correctly against it, and if it has Life Orb, because it can do a lot of damage, seeing as it's able to switch moves around, and with the type of coverage it has. So I just start up the Rest Talk cycle, and I believe I actually get another Calm Mind at this point. And him bringing Shaman in, I actually realized what his plan is. He's gonna start throwing Seed Flares at me, and his plan here is to hope to get some special defense drops, since if he does get them, they're actually -2 drops and not -1, since it's Seed Flare. So it was a pretty good plan actually, but I just decided just to stay in, just to see what I can do as far as trying to set up a Calm Mind sweep. So goes for the Seed Flare here, and that is the second Seed Flare. The first one he did not get a drop, the second one he did. And on the Sleep Talk, on the Wake Up, I do Dark Pulse, and I was getting pretty lucky with my Sleep Talks this whole match, I do gotta say that. Pretty much getting Calm Mind or Dark Pulse. I hardly ever got Rest, so spoilers there. Anyway, he's gonna keep going, sticking to the plan, trying to get some special defense drops, so that way he'll be able to knock me out if he needs to with another poke. And I just rest up at this point. That was the third Seed Flare where he doesn't get a drop, and I just start the Rest Talk cycle once again. So, and it's funny because in hindsight, I didn't even realize it until afterwards. I was watching this battle, and He's gonna go for the 4th Seed Flare, and he's not gonna get a drop on that either. And I'm gonna get another Calm Mind on the Sleep Talk. So I'm sitting at +5 special attack and +3 special defense. And what I actually realized was that I basically just PP stalled him out at this point, because Spiritomb's pressure, since it eats up 2 power points every single time a move is used against him, so he has no Seed Flares left. I didn't even realize that till just now. So I didn't do any type of awesome prediction, any awesome plays on my part. Did not even think about the fact that I could PP stall him out of Seed Flare. So he's actually going to rest up here, and it actually surprised me because I thought he might be the Leech Seed plus Protect set based on how little damage Dark Pulse did earlier, and but unfortunately his plan to try to get special defense drops, it does fail because he only got 1, and I'm still set up, and I got another Calm Mind on the 2nd Sleep Talk, so now I'm maxed out on special attack and I'm at +4 special defense. So now he's going to go back to Registeel, knowing that Dark Pulse is coming on my wake up turn. So Registeel is back in, and I'm just going to keep sticking to my plan at this point. I mean, I'm at +6 on special attack, +4 special defense, so I think I have a pretty good thing going, but I mean, you guys will see later on. So he's actually going to go for Toxic, and he misses. Kind of sucks for him. So I just start going for Dark Pulse. No point, I can't boost anymore, so at least not on the special attacking side. So he's actually going to go for Toxic again, and he misses again. So that really sucks for FTP. It's looking pretty bad for him, it looks like, so far, because now he's got this Spiritomb just staring down at him. So he's going to go for Toxic one more time, and the 3rd time is the Charm, and it does hit. And Dark Pulse really isn't doing that much. I honestly didn't expect it to do a lot of damage, but still, I thought it would do more than it's doing here, because it's still +6 stab, but I guess Registeel is just too beast on both defensive ends. So I think a base stat of 150 special defense, I believe. So he's actually going to start earthquaking at this point, and I'm just going to rest up because I don't want to take too much damage from the Toxic, and I'll just start up the rest talk cycle once again. So things do get pretty stallish here, which I do apologize about, guys, because it's pretty much just Registeel versus Spiritomb for it. Not the rest of the match, but this is a good portion of it. I probably should have sped it up even more than I did, but I didn't, so oh well, it's alright, we'll get through it. So I finally get unlucky on one of the Sleep Talks, and I get rest on the first one, and he does go for the Earthquake, but I guess at this point he probably could have gone to Infernape, but Registeel was probably just fodder at this point, because I mean, he set up the rocks, so there's not going to be much else Registeel can do unless he wants to Toxic something and Thunderwave something else. So he actually gets a crit on one of the Earthquakes, and I don't know if that's what FTP was hoping for, but even that doesn't do that much damage. All it does is basically just force me to rest again at this point. So I'd really just want to knock this thing out so I can try to sweep the rest of his team, even though I hadn't seen his last guy yet. And yeah, that's pretty much what's going on here. The fact that he's got the leftovers too, it is increasing his longevity, because as I said earlier, the Dark Pulse is not doing that much, so he's lasting much longer than he would have if he didn't have the leftovers. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on here. Big props to FearThePika FTP for using Registeel over Metagross. I think it fits his team a little bit better. That's just my opinion. as far as his team, because it looks like it's a more defensive team. It does have offensive threats, but I think overall his team's pretty bulky. I mean, Metagross would fit too, but just the fact that Registeel is just different. You don't see Registeel in OU, not really. So, big props to him for doing that. And, yeah, it's getting to the point now where I just PP stall him out of Earthquakes. He literally just runs out of Earthquakes. So he has to switch back over to Toxic. And then I believe I PP stall him out of those as well. So he just ends up going for Thunder Wave. But he never gets to the point where he has to struggle. So that's good. And yeah, he goes for another Earthquake there. And yeah, eventually I just PP stall him out at this point. And I was pretty certain Explosion was the last move that he had. I guess it could have been Iron Head, but I mean, it probably could have been Iron Head, because having 2 status moves, I don't see that on Registeel every day. But then again, I don't really play Underused that much, if hardly at all. So anywho, it's funny because earlier I got a Calm Mind boost off the Sleep Talk, and I had no idea that Calm Mind would still work if you're maxed out on one stat but not another. So I guess I had kind of a dumb moment there. But anywho, back to what's going on. The Stall Fest is pretty much over here, and eventually I am going to be able to take his Registeel down, and it looks good, guys, and it looks like the game is over, but it's not. Especially, as I said before, this is a 2-part series that we're doing here, so you're definitely going to see how FearThePika deals with this Spiritomb, and then we'll go back and forth as we try to win against each other. So he actually comes up with an awesome plan at this point. I've woken up, and he's actually going to go for the Toxic to Toxic my Spiritomb. Now, he's going to fodder out Registeel and just let me finish him off. Because, you know, I'm maxed out now at this point. I believe on both stats, so I'm fully set up to just beast on everything on his team. So, once Registeel goes down, though, the Toxic is going to start racking up. And I'll be able to finish his Registeel off, but now he's going to go back to Gengar. And I was kind of sitting there going, lol, I guess he's waiting for the Toxic to rack up, so he's just going to start sacking pokes. But that is not what he does. The reason why he brought Gengar in was so he could taunt. And by taunting, he's going to make sure I can't rest off the Toxic, and that the Toxic will do a number on me. So that was an excellent play on his part. Awesome, because he actually ended up not getting swept by the Spiritomb. So obviously the Dark Pulse is going to finish off Gengar, because if it had the Sash, it lost it because of the sand. So Gengar does go down, but Gengar has done its job as far as getting the Spiritomb taken care of. So I'm able to take down Registeel and Gengar. So it is 6-4 right now, and he's actually going to bring Infernape in. But the only reason he's going to bring Infernape in is so he can U-turn out. And I actually thought he was just going to finish me off with like a Fire Blast or something like that, but he probably didn't want to, he was probably thinking about not wanting to risk that, because I do have Heatran. So U-turn was probably the best move. It was the best move, actually. So he's going to go to Shaman to take the Dark Pulse, and his Shaman is really bulky. I don't think it couldn't have had max special attack. It might have not had any EVs invested in special attack, because it doesn't take that much damage from my Dark Pulses, and he's actually wasn't dishing out that much damage to me earlier with Seed Flares. So even though I was boosting up, so he's actually gonna rest and just let the Toxic finish off my Spiritomb. Don't get any crits on any of my Dark Pulses. So now I think here for a long time about what I want to do next after Spiritomb goes down, because that was something I was definitely gonna have to consider. That if Spiritomb went down, who was I gonna go to, and how else was I gonna win this match? As far as how am I gonna stall him out is what I really should say. So I eventually do go to Fortress because there were a couple of things that were going through my mind. I thought initially about going to Heatran and then making a double switch to Venusaur, but I was still fearing Infernape coming in and locking itself into close combat, or even predicting my double switch into Venusaur, even though he hadn't seen it yet, and maybe going for the Fire Blast. But I mean, he probably wouldn't have done that because that's really risky, especially at the risk of me getting a Flash Fire boost. So anywho, I do eventually go to Fortress, and I'm actually going to make a double switch here and go into Hippowdon, once again expecting Infernape to come in on my Fortress, but instead he goes to Starmie as I go into Hippowdon, and that totally backfired on me, and once again I've put myself in a very bad position. I don't know if I'm giving FearThePika too much credit or not enough, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess the latter, since he's a great player, especially if he's gone up against the likes of Negator and BioLizard, who are all good players for any of you guys that watch their videos. So, and I mean, for all I know, he could have predicted the double switch to Hippowdon, and I probably should have just gone for the hazards instead, because I do have payback in case he wanted to try and rapid spin. But I mean, in hindsight, it ultimately, even that doesn't work. But I mean, you guys will see later on. So I know I can take one Surf, so I just decided to stay in and go for the Earthquake, just to see how much it does. And I really needed Starmie gone at that point. So, but anyway, looks like we just got to the end of the vid, guys. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.